All right. In our last episode, we were talking about 1% or 1 degree changes in our life and how we don't have to implement like these massive actions in order to get results, that we can actually truly implement a 1 degree or a 1% change in our life to get really big results. And so I want to go a little bit further with you on this topic, um, because I felt like there's a little bit more that I want you to understand and I want you to know. And so everyone I know wants to create habits or have goals. They're like, I want more confidence, or I want to become happier, or I want to start an exercise routine, or I want to improve my marriage, but they can't make it happen, right? Or they try and they fail, they try and they fail. And so what I want you to understand today, first of all, is I want you to understand why you're failing. And we all fail, me included. And I know why I'm failing now. It's because it doesn't really have a lot to do with you personally or me. It has to do with the system that you're using. Most people think that they don't have enough willpower to reach their goal or to implement this change in their life. But what they don't understand is it's really not their willpower that's the problem. It's the system that they're using. And in fact, one of my favorite quotes is, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And that is by James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits. And I'll make sure and drop that book in the show notes. And so again, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your system. So this is what we need to do. We need to create systems. You know, I was just talking to the women who are in my 90-day program that finished a few months ago, and I kept explaining to them, look, this is about implementing teeny tiny changes in your life, staying true to the course or to the path, because what we're really doing is I've created a system that I know will get you there, that will get you these massive results. But what you need to understand is we're making these teeny tiny 1 degree shifts because we're actually creating a new foundation. They're creating a new foundation. And if they stay true to this work, right, that those tiny changes are going to act like compound interest, and that will continue to escalate their life, and it will get them big time forward momentum, which is this whole massive ripple effect that we're talking about. And so, you know, when I even look back to, I've launched now 4 different groups of women who I have walked through my 90-day program. And I know that the women probably in cohorts 1 and 2 are probably experiencing way bigger changes in their life, you know, a year out from my program and my course, because we relayed the foundation, and those changes work as combined interest, and they start to accumulate that interest in their life, and those changes start to get bigger and bigger and bigger because they gain that momentum. So what happens is this 1% change in our life, or 1% degree that we're trying to shift, can work either way. Again, we talked a little bit about that in the previous episode. If you're not getting the results that you want in your life, it's not you. And I have to always tell women this, right? Because they're always like, well, I'm not losing the weight, or I'm not shifting my body, or I'm not saving money, or I'm not writing that book, or I'm not launching my book, I'm not launching my business. And so what we know is we get these really big things that kind of loom over us, and it feels like this massive thing that I'm going to have to, do all of this, all of it perfectly and do it right now. And if I don't make that kind of commitment, it's not going to happen. It's kind of like me. I've been writing a book for 3 years, and the book in itself feels so big and so heavy. I'm like, I'm never going to get there. And so I keep talking myself out of it. And what I really need to do is say, hey, these are the number of words I'm going to write every week. I don't have to write a ton. Maybe it's 500, or maybe it's 500 a day, or it's 2,000 a month. But instead, I keep telling myself, oh my gosh, I got to write 36 chapters, 70,000 words, and it's just all consuming, instead of breaking it down into a system that's going to make me accountable, that's going to set me up for success. I just need to take the next little small step, and I need to do that repeatedly, over and over and over. And when I can do that, then I will be able to produce the result. Okay. And it's the same with you, because your outcomes are in direct correlation to the measure of the habits that you have in your life. And those habits are a result of whether or not you've created a system that sets you up for success, right? It's just like, your net worth, whatever you are worth when it comes to dollars, that's in direct correlation to the measure of your financial habits. Your weight is in direct correlation to the system you have of being able to eat healthy, or the amount of exercise you're getting, or the amount of knowledge that's in your head on certain topics. That is all in direct correlation to the habits you have, right? Are you reading a book a week? If you're reading a book a week, then you're gaining lots and lots and lots of knowledge in your head. And over time, that knowledge turns into these massive results that you're implementing in your life. And so we have to be able to create a system or rituals in our life, because that's what it's going to take, is a system that supports our 1% or 1 degree change. So let me give you an analogy here, because I know we talked a lot about the 1 degree shift in your life, or the 1 degree change. And so let me give you an analogy that's going to help you understand this, okay? Remember, it's not noticeable at first. That's why we all cop out. And so let's pretend I have an ice cube right now in front of me, and the temperature is 33 degrees. And nothing is happening to that ice cube, right? It's still in total solid form. It's not sweating. It looks just like it did. Now, all of a sudden, right? Or if it's at 32 degrees, I guess 32 degrees would be, freezing, so to speak. Now, what happens is nothing really happens at 33 degrees, right? And maybe a little bit at 34 degrees, but not much. But all of a sudden, it may be 38 degrees or whatever it is, 36 degrees. All of a sudden, the ice starts to melt, right? Maybe there wasn't a really big difference between 32 and 33, but all of a sudden at 34, 1 degree made all the difference. The ice cube changed shape. We didn't notice a change at any of the other levels, but all of a sudden at that 1 degree temperature change, the ice begins to change shape. And so it's these kind of breakthrough moments, folks, that we're all chasing after, that actually happen because they are a result of many previous repeatable small actions over and over and over and over. And that's how we get a different result. That's what actually adds up to really big changes in our life. And here's the other thing that we do that I've learned a lot about, is that we also expect for these changes, these habits, to kind of happen in like a linear fashion, right? And so it's stressful because we don't see progress at first, or we don't see it within the first few weeks, or maybe we don't see it within the first month, or even after the first year, right? And so we feel like nothing is shifting. And I'm going to call out the women in my 90-day program again, because some of them at first thought this was just going to be a magic pill, and they were immediately going to completely change their life, change their relationships, change their money mindset, be able to attract abundance, be able to attract and create the perfect marriage, be able to go after their dream job or create their dream business. And some of them thought like, oh, I'm going to go through this program, and in 90 days, all of these massive things are going to happen. And I always tell them, I always wait for this to happen, because we get a few modules in and they're like, I'm not seeing the big results, and what I have to do is I have to draw them back in and say, look, stay true to the work. What we're doing is we're making small, little, tiny changes in your life. Little right actions over time. We are rebuilding the foundation, and you will get the ripple effects of you planting those seeds right now, right? And it might be 2 steps forward and 1.5 steps back. And I remember Angie in the course, she was like, I'm ready to give up. Like, none of this stuff is working. And I said, stay true to the course, Angie, because you're making momentum even if you're not seeing it yet. And sure enough, by the time we started getting to the end of the course, she was like, I can't believe this is happening, Kim. It's actually working. And I'm like, yeah, it is, Angie. And guess what? 6 months from now, it will be even better. 6 years from now, it will be even better, because you have followed a system. You have followed a framework that when you stay mostly diligent to it, it will happen. It's just not always in linear form. All right. And so we give up too easily, folks. You cop out on yourself. You say, Kim, I've been running for a month and it's still super hard, right? Well, yeah, it might be, because it might take you 3 months. It might take you 6 months until it becomes just a part of who you are. It does not happen overnight. I know a lot of times when I stand in front of a large crowd and, I get it. I look like a runner. I run 35 miles a week. I still hold the track record at my high school, 30 years later. But here's the thing. I also live in a county where we had the Biggest Loser winners come in several years ago to our health club. And those people, they talked about how they were never athletes, how they were 300 pounds overweight, how they trained and they downloaded a new set of beliefs in their mind and body. And they started taking little, teeny, tiny, different actions every single day, right? Even though they were never athletes, even though they could never run, even though they were 300 pounds overweight. And they had to struggle and make teeny tiny changes over time. And over time, those teeny tiny changes led to massive results, right? But you have to persist. You have to persist in order to start to get the gains, right? And what happens is when you're looking to attain a goal, a relationship goal, a weight goal, a fitness goal, a spiritual goal, a business goal, we are waiting. We won't stick with it if we don't start seeing massive results. What I need you to do is to simply move the needle in your life by 1%, by 1% every single day. And your life will start to work like combined interest. But in order to do that, you have to have a system in place. You have to have a system that enables you to actually reach your goal. Again, I want to reiterate that it's not you and it's not your willpower. It's that you're expecting too much of yourself and you cop out on yourself before the combined interest of your life begins to take hold, before you start to get that ripple effect. And so I also want to give you some research around why we all need help, why we can't do it alone. This is exactly why people do join my 90-day program, because I took 20 years of research, 20 years of reading hundreds of books, 20 years of going and attending self-help, personal development classes. And what I did is I looked across 20 years and said, Kim, how did you go from making $8 an hour to making $8,000 an hour? How did you go from a terribly toxic, horrible relationship to an exceptional relationship a whole lot of the time? How did you get out of toxic work environments and launch not one, but 2 businesses? And so what I did is I combed through the 20 years worth of stuff that I did and said, hey, what is the framework? What are the 9 things that I did? And I did them over and over and over and over that led me to getting these really big results in my life. Because folks, it's replanting a foundation that's made up of small, repeatable actions. But here's the research I want to give you, because I also feel like you put too much pressure on yourself. Here's what we know. Of people who consciously decide to set a goal, they say, hey, this is a goal I'm going to set. If they consciously decide that in their brain, 25% of them will actually achieve their goal. Now, of people who don't just consciously decide in their brain to set a goal, but they decide when they will do it, right? I will lose 20 pounds within the next 3 months. I will begin an exercise routine 3 times a week, and this is when it's going to happen. Of those people who don't just consciously decide to set the goal, but who decide they will do it when it's going to happen, 40% of them achieve their goal. Now, of people who plan how they will do it, 50% of them achieve their goal. So let me break this down for you. Let's say I have a goal to run a marathon. I decide I'm going to do it. I have a 25% chance of achieving that goal. But if I go one step further and I say, not only am I deciding to do it, but I'm going to run that marathon in April of 2021. Now I've decided when I'm going to do it, right? When it's going to happen. I've signed up for the race or whatever. Now I've increased my chances of 40%. But of people who actually plan how they will do it, 50% of them achieve their goal. So that means I print out the 17 or 16 week marathon training plan. I post it on my mirror. I know every day how many miles I need to run. That's planning a goal. Now, of people who consciously commit to someone else that they will do it. If I call up my friend and I say, hey, I just signed up for the Louisville Marathon, April 23rd. I'm committing to you that I'm going to do this. They have a 65% chance of achieving their goal. Now, here's the piece of research that I think is stunning. And by the way, this all comes from the American Society for Training and Development. But of people who go just one step further, they have a specific accountability appointment with the person they committed to. They have a 95% chance of achieving their goal. Which is why I see women all of the time who want to change their life, who want to create a life that they really love, that they're damn excited to wake up and live every day. But year after year after year after year, they can't make it happen. And that's where my 90-day program comes in, because I make sure that you decide when you're going to do it. You plan exactly how you're going to implement this stuff in your life. You commit to me both through a financial obligation and through a verbal obligation that you're going to do it. And I have an accountability appointment with you, making sure that these are the changes that you actually implement in your life, which is why you get the success. And so I really want you to understand the research, because again, it's not you, it's not your willpower. It's, do you have a system? Do you have a framework that you're following, a proven framework that you know works, that gets the results? Do you have a system that's going to set you up to be 95% successful in achieving your goal? Now, Not everybody wants to go through the 90-day program. Not everybody wants to get the kind of results that the women in my program get. So let's bring this right back down to you, my listeners, who are like, okay, Kim, but maybe I don't want these big, massive results, but I do want to implement a healthy habit in my life, but I need a system. All right. So let me give you an example of a system. A system is something that happens kind of like a ritual, right? A sequence of events that happens that makes you successful. So I have a morning system that ensures I get exercise, ensures I do my gratitude list, ensures I have my affirmations written, ensures I walk my dogs. And so here's the system that works for Kim Strobel. And I'm going to talk you through like my morning ritual, okay? I'll be honest with you. I wake up, I roll over, I grab my cell phone, and I start to scroll Facebook, probably for about 10 or 15 minutes. I don't know. It's just like the way that I wake myself up. So I scroll Facebook. I'm kind of getting myself awake. Then immediately I go in the bathroom. I put on my gym shorts. I put on my gym top. I lace up my tennis shoes. And then I go sit on my back deck, or I sit at my kitchen table. And I make my drink, my flavored water. I get my breakfast made, and I sit down with my gratitude journal. And I write out 10 things I'm thankful for. And then I write out my 10 affirmations, the same 10 affirmations every single day. Then I get out maybe my little self-help book that I'm reading, and I'll read a chapter or two, right? I have this like morning routine that happens. And then after that, I close that up. I go leash my dogs up. I take them for their half-mile loop around the neighborhood. I come home. I bring the walking dogs back, and I keep, right now it's Sophie, my running partner. I keep Sophie on the leash because Sophie's my running partner. George is hurt right now. So then I go for my 5-mile run as soon as I get back. Then I get home, I shower, and now it's time to work. That is the routine that sets Kim Strobel up every single day for success. And if I veer from that routine, then those things don't happen. And I'm going to give you an example of that today. For whatever reason, I got up, I immediately took the dogs for a walk. Then I went for my run. Then I took a shower, and then I started work. I did not follow my normal system that makes me successful. Therefore, it's 4:30. I still haven't written my gratitudes. I still haven't done my affirmations. I'm out of sorts today because I didn't follow the system that makes me successful. And so you have to figure out, what is the system that is going to help you actually achieve the goal? What's the ritual? What time of day is it going to happen? When is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? Are you going to have an accountability partner? Because that's how we actually make these teeny tiny 1-degree shifts, 1% shifts in our life. That's what leads us to success. But you have to be willing to know you're not going to see the change overnight, that it's working as combined interest, and you have to figure out, how do you create a system in your life that sets you up to be successful? That's what I want for each and every one of you. And if you're like, Kim, I don't have a system, well, that's when you can go in, you can apply, you can be one of the first people to find out when I launch the next 90-day program, because in that program, I give you the system. I give you the coaching. I give you the accountability. I give you the hand-holding, which is why we get really good success results. The women in our program experience really big shifts in their life because they're creating, they have the system, they have the framework that works in their life, because I've given it to them. So again, if you're somebody like, hey, I want the system, feel free to hop on over to www.kimstrobel.com, and you're going to see right in there, sign up for the wait list, and you can get on the wait list and be one of the first people to find out when we launch the next cohort.